So this is me, and I'm here because I love to facilitate. But today I might be doing more talking and less of listening, okay? Because today I'm not facilitating, okay? Today I'm in a little different role, and I want to lay down some of my understanding of facilitation for this group to check and help me raise more questions along with it, okay? And maybe that is where I begin. That to me, the differences are in presenting, training, and facilitating, okay? Now, how do I look at these differences? So I feel that the context varies, okay? And the context in terms of presenting is an event. I maybe have to do a presentation, maybe at a Rotary meeting or in some other place, okay? In training, it is workshops and classes, and in facilitation, it is meetings, okay? So I think there is a different context in 3 levels. When it comes to the 4 differences, I think in presentation as a speaker, I need to focus on the content. But in training, the trainer focuses on imparting the content and managing the learning process. So it's not just the content, but as a trainer, I'm imparting that content to someone else, okay? And when it comes to facilitation, it is a group process, and facilitator focus on the process so that the participants can develop the high quality content, because they are going to get the content here, okay? In terms of deliverables, I think in presentation, it is information and it is inspiration, okay? I'm there to inform, I'm there to inspire. In training, particularly in adult training, my focus is on developing skills. But in facilitation, my deliverable is how do I ensure to get group insights and then get decisions from the group. What is the approach? So in presentation, I present, I tell people, sometimes I also sell, okay? So that is the approach. In training, the approach is I am trying to teach, and therefore I am also trying to involve so that people are involved in the training part of it. Of the time. In training, it is both. I am also speaking and I am also getting participants to speak and participate. But in facilitation, I'm speaking only 20% of the time and I'm listening 80% of the time. Other way, so I have decided today everything will be in 4s, okay? So every my slide will have 4 things to say, okay? So if we look at training and facilitation, training, on the opposite side, there is someone who is learning to grow. If I'm facilitating, it is people who are thinking to decide. So what are the 4 differences? So here, as a trainer, I give skills and knowledge, I guide process. I am supposed to be giving right answers as a trainer, and here I'm supposed to be asking right questions. Training is more linear and structured because I know where it will open up, how from simple to complex I'm going to take them. So it is linear and also it is structured. I have a structure very clear in my mind of how that whole thing would be. For example, I know what time I will ask people to ask questions and what time I may not ask. But in facilitating, I have to be more flexible, because if people come and confront something, it has to be dealt then and there. You know, I cannot say that hold this and we will take it up later on. No, because it is something for people to decide. So training can be one way also sometimes. Okay, it is always better to have it 2-way, but sometimes training can be 1-way also, more instructional. I tell people how to do this, how to construct, how to solve a problem. It can be 1-way, but facilitation is multidirectional. Okay, so I have to allow people in the group to talk to each other because they are perhaps raising questions with each other. They are clarifying for each other because the content is there, the wisdom is there in the room. In learning for growth, you cannot get results immediately. So most of the training objectives are long term. Okay, so I'm teaching them, I will ask them to develop the skill, practice, sharpen it. So over a period of time, they will learn. So my training objectives invariably are little long term, but facilitation is immediate. The situation is there and something has to be done. So something immediate has to be done. So these are the 4 key differences I feel are between training and facilitating. So we started differentiating between presenting, training, and facilitating, and then we come little closer to the second 2, which is training and facilitating. But a facilitator has more than what she shows. Presenter is not like this. Okay, but a facilitator has more than what he shows, tells less than what he knows. But has to ensure that the process flows. Because ultimately the group grows. Now, you may get a roadblock, but you have to flow. Your course may change because something has come, and you still have to keep flowing in the direction, at times maybe through different streams. At that point of time, sometimes I have found that I cannot respond to that. Okay, very good question. Now, can you please tell me, is this important for our organization right now? For example, I was part of a restructuring facilitation where the organization was restructuring themselves. And I remember it was a 2-day facilitation meet. And I think within the first 1.5 hours, someone came and just confronted us. Why do you think organization needs restructuring now? And I, of course, neither had the answer, nor I wanted to jump into that. I said, okay, a valid question. Group, would you like to discuss? Do we need, so instead of what should be the restructure, we spent good 2.5 hours only. Why do we really need to restructure at this point of time? So roadblocks may come, but we still have to keep flowing. Now, when is facilitation appropriate? I feel facilitation is appropriate when an important issue has been detected. There is some issue in the community or in the organization. There is some issue. And there is no apparent solution available. Because if there is an apparent solution, things can be easy. But here, we do not have a very clear-cut apparent solution. And the group has the wisdom. We know that the group is capable of coming up with alternatives on this, as Shilpa rightly said. And one more important thing is we need a buy-in of the group in this thing, because ultimately that decision has to be implemented. And therefore, we just cannot come and plant that solution, because it is the group which is going to come up with the implementation. And therefore, there has to be a buy-in of the group. And these are 4 very distinct scenarios when facilitation is most appropriate. Yeah, if you have to say something, you can raise the raise your hand on the window, okay? Or you can just tell me, Arvind, stop. Don't worry.
Somebody put up a question on the chat.
Yeah, can I look at that question? Yeah, can you read it for me?
Could you give an example?
Okay, I think together we'll find a solution to it for this. Okay, when I say an important issue has been detected, what could be some of the examples? For example.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead, Piyush. Piyush, go ahead,
So,
please.
For example, let's say you have identified an incident of a prospect sexual harassment case. Yeah. So you want to sensitize people within a group that why doing certain things or may tantamount to trespassing the boundaries of sexual harassment.
Beautiful. Okay. Very important. See, a training on sexual harassment act and etc. can happen any time of the year. But Piyush is saying that in an organization, there is an incidence. Okay. Now, if this incidence has happened, you want people to respond to the situation. We don't want this to happen again. Okay. And therefore, immediately people have to come and commit to something that they are going to do. So there is an important issue that has been detected. Now, we are not spending too much of time in training what is sexual harassment, etc. No, because right now we have to get the people together and ensure that this incidence should not get repeated. Okay, people should sensitively handle this situation. And there is no apparent solution to it. You just can't issue a memo and it will be solved. Okay, you cannot just install the committee and this, because this people have to change their behavior. Okay, and we know the group has the wisdom. We know the group can distinguish what is harassment and what is a joke. Okay, many times humor and joke in terms of sexual harassment goes hand in hand. Just people making a joke, they say, oh, it was just a joke. Okay, but then we know that people can see the difference, and ultimately, if we are doing something, we are taking some policies, we are implementing something, there has to be a buy-in of the group. It cannot happen that one portion of the group says, oh, we are not interested in this, because it's an organizational matter. Okay, now the moment we say when it is appropriate, we are very easy to know when it is not appropriate. So sometimes when the decision is already made by some top person, now what is there to facilitate? It is already done. Sometimes the situation is very complex or very confidential. At that time, you cannot go in for facilitation. It is too complex. The group cannot comprehend the complexity of the whole thing, or it might be too confidential. That time you cannot have facilitation. The third is when the group has no authority. They have no authority to do anything. So we cannot just get into a discussion, and that is where a discussion and a facilitation is different. So you just can't have a discussion that what should be done. They don't have any authority. So what is the big deal of facilitating? Okay, you can have discussions and then you can write some paper or news articles. That's okay. Or there is a situation where the group must follow. For example, the RTPC thing. Okay. Now, we all have to follow that. That is a mandate. E-pass is a mandate. Now the RTO has, there is no point RTO can get along all of people and try to facilitate. No, everyone has to follow. Facilitation is all about four things. First, getting group actively involved, where we need to break through the apathy, because sometimes the group may have a lot of apathy. Kuch ho nahi sakta. इससे कुछ होने वाला नहीं है. So if they are having that apathy stage, you cannot move further in. The first step is to get them actively involved, and you have to break through the apathy and say, okay, we can try. We cannot promise. As a facilitator, we cannot promise, but we can always encourage them to come on, let's try. Because in my experience, many times in facilitative situations, the group comes and say, "वो साहब पहले करके देख लिया, कुछ नहीं होता उससे. हमने बहुत बार किया है." Now they may be right, बहुत बार किया है. Now I can't say that इस बार करो और solution आ जाएगा. I can't make a promise, but I can tell them, try तो करते हैं. Maybe there are some new people, maybe situation has changed, maybe we will get some alternative, etc., etc. So one stage is to getting the group actively involved. The second stage is developing critical awareness of the problem and causes. Okay, to some extent, when everyone is talking about the problem, we have to deep dive, at least help them to go to some of the underlying causes कि क्यों हो रहा होगा, क्योंकि ऊपर ऊपर के प्रॉब्लम्स में से सॉल्यूशन नहीं आएगा unless people start getting into the root causes. And then, of course, we have to help them to create options and alternatives. May not be one right answers, but can we have a range of alternatives? कि क्या क्या कर सकते हैं, क्या क्या ऑप्शंस है, चलो करना या ना करना वो बाद में देखेंगे, ऑप्शंस तो जनरेट करते हैं यार, चलो. And of course, the final is making decision by consensus. And here I am emphasizing the word consensus because majority decides is also not going to work. You cannot just go by vote of hands कि इस रूम में कितने लोग एग्री करते हैं, क्योंकि हो सकता है 100 में से 90 लोगों ने हाथ ऊपर किया, लेकिन जो 10 लोगों ने हाथ ऊपर नहीं किया, उनकी वजह से पूरा हमारा implementation impact हो सकता है. When I say consensus, what I mean is कि okay, situation अभी ऐसी है, जैसे अभी पीयूष का एग्जाम्पल ले लेते हैं कि अभी ऐसा इंसिडेंस हुआ है. ओके, सो अभी हमने क्या क्या करना चाहिए. Everyone will not agree with one solution. We are also not going for majority. We say देखो अभी हमको इस पर कुछ तो भी अच्छा करना जरूरी है. I can see in the room at the end of the facilitation session also that there are different views and there are different schools of thoughts. It's okay. But together, can we arrive at the most appropriate one right now? And for next 2 months, we will implement it. Park your different opinions. We will review them. We will come back to them again. Okay. 4 most applicable scenarios for facilitation are situation assessment. Where are we now? क्योंकि ये situation assessment का मैं ट्रेनिंग नहीं दे सकता, तो लोग ही बता सकते हैं कि सिचुएशन क्या है. नॉलेज तो उन्हीं के पास है ना. The second is when they want to set a goal, because I can't set a goal for them. गोल सेटिंग का मैं ट्रेनिंग ले सकता हूं, लेकिन गोल तो उन्हीं को सेट करने पड़ेंगे ना. डेवलपिंग स्ट्रैटेजीज उन्हीं को मिलकर तय करना पड़ेगा कि चलो अब ये कॉन्टेक्स्ट है, इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हमारी स्ट्रैटेजी क्या होनी चाहिए काम की. एंड ऑफ कोर्स एक्शन प्लानिंग, क्योंकि एक्शन वही लेने वाला. एक्शन प्लान कैसे करते हैं या स्ट्रैटेजी डेवलपमेंट कैसे करते हैं, ये ट्रेनिंग का मुद्दा हो सकता है, लेकिन एक्चुअल स्ट्रैटेजी जो है ये फैसिलिटेशन का मुद्दा है. A facilitator is not a sage on the stage, but a guide by your side. A facilitator will never take the group on a ride and is comfortable even if people cried.
Quickly, one incident on crying. Arvind ji ने एक बार बहुत पहले the organization that I used to work for, उसके लिए team building की थी. And the situation was, I was involved, and मेरी बहुत ही close colleague friend had become a manager, my manager. And it was वो चीज खुद भी नहीं समझ आ रही थी how to handle, क्योंकि somebody you are so close to and confide every day and work together, now a manager. तो वो इंसिडेंट्स पूरा इतना डिस्कस हुआ उस मीटिंग में, और ऐसे लिटरली दहाड़े मार मार के रोना धोना हुआ था तब. तो क्राइंग इज पार्ट ऑफ इट, बट it helped later on understand responsibilities, draw boundaries, and how to handle that situation. It was very, very beneficial.
And the big thing is that the effective decision that will be taken is the right decision multiplied by commitment to the decision. I'm not putting plus here. I'm not saying the right decision and add commitment to it. It has to be multiplied by the commitment to the decision. And I think that is the power of facilitation. कि लोग right decision, और मैं right शायद शब्द use कर रहा हूं, but it will be the appropriate, most appropriate decision, okay, and multiplied by commitment to the decision. और मैंने जो एक चीज समझी है कि फैसिलिटेशन क्या कर सकता है, तो वो कमिटमेंट जनरेट कर सकता है. एंड दैट कमिटमेंट कम्स आउट ऑफ द प्रोसेस. कि देखो मेरा कितना भी अपोजिंग व्यू था, लेकिन मुझे सुना गया. तो अब जब हमें इंप्लीमेंट करना है, तो मैं भी उतना ही उसके अंदर आई विल पोर इनटू इट. And this is precisely as against typical meetings when I have not facilitated properly. तो लोग क्या करते हैं, जब उनकी चीजों को नहीं सुना गया, समझा गया, तो वो होल्ड करते हैं. तब तो बोल नहीं सकते. कई बार ये लोग अबोल होते हैं, या लेस पावरफुल होते हैं, या वॉइसलेस होते हैं. फिर वो क्या करते हैं, जब डिसीजन कमिटमेंट की बात आती है, तब या तो पतली गली से निकल जाते हैं, या कोई भी कमिटमेंट के लिए हाथ ऊपर नहीं करते. मैं यहां पर इंटरेस्ट और कमिटमेंट, इन दो शब्दों का फर्क कर रहा हूं. सी, पीपल मे हैव ए लॉट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट इन सॉल्विंग ए प्रॉब्लम, बट आर दे कमिटेड इन सॉल्विंग दैट प्रॉब्लम? एंड आई थिंक फैसिलिटेशन की प्रोसेस उनको कमिटमेंट के करीब लेकर जाती है. We need facilitation because sometimes people are not aware. उन्हें पता ही नहीं होता कि ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है. Sometimes people cannot express themselves. उनके पास कुछ तो भी है कहने को, लेकिन एक्सप्रेस कहाँ करना, किसके सामने करना, ये उन्हें नहीं पता है. Sometimes people cannot listen. And sometimes people cannot initiate. वो करना बहुत कुछ चाहते हैं, लेकिन मैं शुरू कैसे करूं? और ये चार चीजें हमको फैसिलिटेशन के बहुत करीब लेकर जाती है. हम इन चारों चीजों को फैसिलिटेटिव प्रोसेस में, फॉर एग्जांपल, फिर से मैं पीयूष का उदाहरण ले लूं. समटाइम्स इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पीपल मे नॉट बी अवेयर कि हमारे यहाँ कुछ सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट हो भी रहा है या नहीं हो रहा. पता ही नहीं है ना हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा. कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जिनके साथ हो रहा है, बट वो एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर पा रहे. फोरम है, वहां पर भी नहीं जाके बता पा रहे, हिम्मत नहीं है. कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको दूसरे को सुनना ही नहीं है. दे आर नॉट एबल टू लिसन टू अदर व्यूज, और समवन कैन नॉट इनिशिएट. नाउ फैसिलिटेशन इज ए परफेक्ट अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर दैट. Yes, please go ahead. There are two hands raised. Yes, Shani.
So Arvind ji, I want to take you back to what Padmaja wrote in the chat कि group activity में involve करना is very tough, right? Now commitment is also related to participation. अगर आप participate ही नहीं कर रहे, तो at the end of the meeting you will feel कि हमारा तो point include ही नहीं हुआ, तो फिर commitment भी नहीं आएगा. So the trick comes back to how to get everybody involved to say what they want to say, and that is so challenging.
So challenging. Thank you. And Shani, in my experience says, इसीलिए ये linear नहीं है. Okay? आप पाएंगे कि ट्रेनिंग लीनियर होता है. आपने पहला जो सेशन है 1-1.5 घंटे का, वो बहुत इंट्रोडक्शन ये वो करके आपने क्या किया, आपने लोगों को इन्वॉल्व कर दिया. फिर आप कंटेंट पे चले गए 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. फैसिलिटेशन में वैसे नहीं होता है. आपने शुरू किया, लोग अपने अपने शेल में थे, आपने कुछ तो भी किया, पीपल इन्वॉल्व हुए. लेकिन थोड़ी देर के बाद जब गर्मा गर्मी शुरू हो गई, क्योंकि different stakes are there, boss. In any decision, there are people, there are different stakeholders, and they may have contradictory stakes. तो जब वो situation आती है तो कुछ लोग पीछे पीछे हो जाते हैं, लिटरली हम मतलब फिजिकली यू कैन सी, कुछ लोग रूम में ऐसे पीछे कोने में जाकर बैठने लगते हैं. ओके, तो आपको फिर से उनको अनफ्रीज करके अंदर लाना पड़ता है, और इसीलिए इसका स्ट्रक्चर लीनियर नहीं है. अब 4 बेसिक स्टेप्स हैं: एनिमेशन एंड इंट्रोडक्शन, फॉर्मिंग ग्रुप्स, आपने लोगों को एनिमेट किया, इंट्रोड्यूस किया, इन्वॉल्व किया. आपको ग्रुप फॉर्मेशन बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि लार्जर इसमें कुछ लोग बोल ही नहीं पाएंगे. और ये ध्यान में रखते हुए ग्रुप वर्क फैसिलिटेशन का एक अहम हिस्सा है, जो ट्रेनिंग में जरूरी नहीं है आप करें या ना करें, क्योंकि लर्निंग इज इंडिविजुअल. ध्यान रखिए, सी ट्रेनिंग में लर्निंग हो रही है, लेकिन वो इंडिविजुअल सेंटर्ड है. यहां पर डिसीजन है जो ग्रुप सेंटर्ड. तो फॉर्मेशन ऑफ ग्रुप्स इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेप. नाउ ग्रुप में जो भी कुछ होता है, जो भी निकल कर आता है, उसको शेयर करने का मौका जरूर मिलना चाहिए. और इसलिए शेयरिंग द रिजल्ट्स या शेयरिंग द वर्क दैट द ग्रुप हैज डन, वो कहीं ना कहीं दीवारों पर आना चाहिए. एंड ऑफ कोर्स देन कम्स द कॉमन डिसीजंस. ये एक, टू इंट्रोड्यूस ईच अदर, टू अवेक द इंटरेस्ट, टू इंक्वायर एंड टू मोटिवेट. To inquire is very important, because जब 2 stakeholders हैं या 3 stakeholders हैं, they need to inquire into each other's stakes. मतलब मैं वाटर सैनिटेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स की बात करूंगा, वहां पे हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट भी स्टेक होल्डर है, जो पाइपलाइन बिछा रहा है वो भी स्टेक होल्डर है. ओके, रूरल डेवलपमेंट डिपार्टमेंट भी स्टेक होल्डर, फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट भी स्टेक होल्डर है. 4 स्टेक होल्डर्स है. और हमें कहीं तो भी एक प्रोसेस करनी पड़ती है जब पीपल कैन इंक्वायर कि तुम्हारे चैलेंजेस क्या क्या है भाई, और तब फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट आके बताता है मेरा ये प्रॉब्लम है, मैं तो ये कर लूंगा लेकिन ये नहीं कर सकता, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. सो टू इंट्रोड्यूस, टू अवेक, टू इंक्वायर एंड टू मोटिवेट. व्हाई डू वी नीड वर्किंग ग्रुप्स? सो दैट दे कैन थिंक, सो दैट दे कैन एक्सचेंज, सो दैट दे कैन कन्फ्रंट एंड सो दैट दे कैन एनालाइज. इसमें कन्फ्रंटेशन भी इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि कंस्ट्रक्टिव कन्फ्रंटेशन फैसिलिटेशन का एक बहुत अहम हिस्सा है. लेकिन वो कन्फ्रंटेशन अगर झगड़े में चला गया तो सब कुछ वहीं खलास हो जाता है. सो बेसिक इंटरपर्सनल स्किल्स क्या क्या है? ये 4 चीजें हमको करते रहना पड़ती है. हमें भी सुनना है और लोगों ने एक दूसरे को सुनना है, ये बहुत इंश्योर करना पड़ता है. हमने भी सवाल पूछने हैं और लोगों के सवालों को भी कुरेदना है या उठाना है. We have to ask people to give feedback to each other and use it effectively for the process. And of course, handling conflicting situations. The facilitator helps a group of people to voice, to listen, to make decisions and to take responsibilities. Okay, ये चौथा पार्ट बहुत यूनिक है जो ट्रेनिंग में नहीं होता है. ट्रेनिंग में टेकिंग रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होगी भी तो भी वो इंडिविजुअल की होती है, लेकिन यहां पर हम ग्रुप डिसीजंस की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी की बात कर रहे हैं. So it is the process that is designed so that people feel safe and easy, so that people can hear and be heard. So it brings out the wisdom of people, and so it stimulates dialogue and interaction. It's a process. So the most desired qualities are facilitator की self awareness खुद की होना बहुत जरूरी है. एम्पैथी होना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि अलग अलग स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, तो हमें एम्पैथी होनी चाहिए और हमें थोड़ा सा लोगों को एम्पैथिक लिसनिंग भी करानी है, वो भी दूसरे को थोड़ा एम्पैथी के साथ सुन सकें। एक्सेप्टिंग पीपल एज दे आर, क्योंकि कभी कभी मैंने पाया है कि मेरी बेसिक आइडियोलॉजी है, उसके विरुद्ध आइडियोलॉजी वाले 2-4 लोग वहां पर बैठे हैं। मेरा डिस्कम्फर्ट है उनके साथ, बट मुझे मेरे बायसेस थोड़ी देर के लिए दूर रख के आई नीड टू एक्सेप्ट देम एज दे आर। एंड द फोर्थ इज बीइंग ऑथेंटिक। अगेन यूटोपियन है, लेकिन हम एटलीस्ट जो बोल रहे हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर हम लोगों को कह रहे हैं भाई एक दूसरे को सुनो, तो जरूरी है कि हम भी उन सबको सुने। रेयर क्वालिटीज ऑफ फैसिलिटेटर क्या क्या है? तो गुड क्वेश्चनिंग स्किल्स, सेकेंड वन इज वेरी क्रूशियल, नोइंग हाउ टू स्टे आउट ऑफ द वे और कीप देयर माउथ शट। कब बोलना ही नहीं है, ये फैसिलिटेटर का बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज होता है। And that wait time sometimes can be 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. कोई कुछ बोल ही नहीं रहा। Keeping the discussion on track, क्योंकि इधर उधर जाने के सिर्फ संभावना ही नहीं होती, जाता ही रहता है, बट स्टिल उसको बार बार ट्रैक पर कैसे लाना। एंड लास्ट को मैं बहुत कॉन्शियसली लिखा है कि क्रिएटिंग कंस्ट्रक्टिव कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, क्योंकि कुछ ग्रुप्स में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होती नहीं है, दिखती नहीं है, वॉइस ही नहीं होती, उस समय डिसीजन की क्वालिटी बहुत पुअर होती है। तो कभी कभी हमको कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को क्रिएट करना पड़ता है, सामने लाना पड़ता है, ताकि और व्यूज निकले, ताकि और आइडियाज निकले। ओके, और बिफोर आई गो टू द डिस्कशन, if you want to give me, or if you can give me 4 hours, then we will talk about the 4 secrets. और वो 4 secrets क्या क्या हैं? The secret of starting, जिसमें बहुत राइटली शानी ने भी, पद्मजा ने भी रेस किया है कि कैसे लोगों को इन्वॉल्व करें, एक्साइट करें। तो उसके सीक्रेट्स क्या हैं? द सीक्रेट्स ऑफ क्वेश्चनिंग, हाउ डू वी डिजाइन द क्वेश्चंस टू गेट बेटर आंसर्स। The third secret is the secret of focusing. How do we avoid detours? How do we establish the course? And the secret of recording, which is the power of sketch pen or the power of marker, which we use it but don't abuse it. And to me, these are the 4 secrets जिनके ऊपर हम सब बहुत कुछ सीख सकते हैं, ऐसा मुझे लगता है।